The PvP systems in this game are really, really bad. I want to talk about battlegrounds mostly. What are some features of the game design and the way the TOS is implemented that really should signal to people that inarguably the battleground system in classic WoW is terrible, and that it would make no sense to blame the audience of WoW players for their actions. So right off the bat, let's go over some transcendental truths about things. If you value an audience, then you're insane to blame them for their preferences, basically. So if you think it's important, for example, that people like PvP and then they like doing it in a particular way, and you care about what these people think and you care that they engage in PvP, then blaming them for their preferences is ridiculous. It'd be like if I didn't appreciate the people who watch my videos and I was like, I can't believe some of you motherfuckers disagree with me in the comments section. Like, if I mean, not to say everybody who watches that I give a shit about what they think, but it would be very weird for me to have a video that got low views and then think it was anybody's fault other than my own if I particularly cared about how many views that I got, as an example. And a game designer, such as Blizzard Studios or whatever, going and not to say they have, but if they were to blame the way AV is played on player preferences and in a way where they're like, these fucking gamers should change. How dare you want to do AV simply to get some of the best loot in the game? How dare you? You should want to play into all the weird systems that are obviously archaic, and you should enjoy them the same way you did 18 years ago. Now, I'm not saying Blizzard says that, but that would be a crazy take, right? And then beyond those, there's a couple other ideas that I want to explore. Is it possible that you could make the battleground system better? Obviously, yes. Obviously, it could be made better. Is it maybe very hard? Maybe. But is it also maybe very easy? Are there ways that this could be approached without, for example, incurring any work product from Blizzard staff that requires doing art, or that requires them, for example, changing how the map looks or changing the TOS in a big way? Are there maybe small changes that could be made that would change the way that players interact with the game and so they feel like playing is more fun? That's really what I want to explore, because I think that is absolutely true. For example, how could you take a game like Counter-Strike and make it worse? You could take Counter-Strike and you could make it so that way the non-ranked modes in it actually are unranked. Now, this is a thing people don't understand. Basically, every game with PvP has MMR, and when you turn off ranked, all you do is you're turning off the ability to see your rank, and also normally unranked modes have larger tolerance for player skill differences. So maybe if you queue into a ranked game, and this is just an arbitrary video game, and you have 1,000 rating, if you select the ranked option, you will get a probability distribution of different skill levels you can run against, but it'll have a tighter bound. So maybe one standard deviation, it's like 50 rating out of 1,000. But when you do unranked, it doesn't tell you what your rank is, and maybe the standard deviation is like 100. And this, why do you have this in every game? Well, because it's actually more fun. For example, you'll hear casual players complain about pre-mades in World of Warcraft. Okay, so what do people not like about facing pre-mates? You get fucking owned. All right, what's another thing people don't like about PvP basically in World of Warcraft in general? There is massive imbalance in a lot of places. Could you resolve a lot of this using crazy game design decisions and trying to just make the game super balanced? Yes. Could you maybe approach it in another way? If instead of, for example, putting pre-mades against pre-mades, you simply gave people ratings in battlegrounds that were hidden or shown, and then if people were to pre-made together and they did it a decent amount, they would have higher ratings. You could have pugs go against pre-mades even, and it would be fine. Now, it probably wouldn't be fine if it was like a full Wrathy base and pre-made against literally like any pug in the world. But it would make stuff like a 5-man stack in Warsong not necessarily be so damning to the other team. And that would most likely make people have more fun in the game. It would be the case in nearly any other competitive thing or PvP thing in general. Almost every other game in the whole world's done this, and this would be trivial for Blizzard to implement. Really trivial compared to most things. I'm sure they're a big company. A lot of you guys probably are office workers, and you know that changing literally anything in a big company is like a fucking nightmare. But as far as big game design problems go, putting MMR in shouldn't be all that hard. Now, what are some other kind of crazy things in WoW with respect to BGs that you just really don't see in any modern games? This one is nuts, that you can get banned for being AFK in a battleground. And I know a lot of people are going to hear that and they're going to think, what, do you think AFKers should just be allowed to ruin the game for everybody? No. Calm down. Think for a second. How insane is it as a game design decision that you make a game, you create an incentive structure within it that makes it so that way not playing the game is beneficial? And then rather than looking at the true problem is that not playing the game is beneficial. The true problem is not that some players like to AFK. What if instead we made it so the way you earn honor in the battleground was such that it is impossible for it to make sense to AFK? This would be pretty easy. There's so many ways you could actually tackle that problem and get a result that really could make people happy. Here'd be one example of a big problem in AV that could be approached in a similar way, although this isn't directly related to the whole AFKer problem. When you do this battleground, if you go for objectives, you earn honor for everybody else in the battleground, whether they're AFK or not. You also, this means you're earning honor for people who aren't helping with the objectives at all. So that's like me right now and these guys, we're engaging in pointless PvP. Us doing this, just fighting each other, this actually reduces the average honor per hour of everyone in the battleground, and people primarily are doing this to earn honor. But anybody who was doing objectives in that moment was getting me honor, and if they're on the Horde team, they're getting those Horde players honor. How could you change the incentive structure so that way we don't want to engage in non-strategically sound PvP in the battleground? It's easy. This is one way you could do it. Make honorable kill honor be divided equally amongst everyone in the BG. I'm not saying this is a perfect solution, but if you did that, you would all of a sudden remove all the point in doing any kind of antisocial behavior with respect to honor per hour in the battleground. Because if you wanted to go and, for example, defend Belinda or Galv and wipe the other team and then make it so the battleground goes twice as long or 3 times as long, you could go ahead and do that. But you will get no reward for doing it. You would simply do it because it's fun, which would be greatly preferable in my opinion, rather than there being an incentive structure where you personally get maybe 20, 30% more honor an hour, and everybody else on both teams makes maybe 30, 40% less honor an hour. And what else would be cool about this is you don't actually, in this case, you could think, we're not punishing people for doing things that are bad for the group or that damage the integrity of people wanting to continue playing the battleground over time. We're just changing the way the incentive structure works in the game. What's another way we could do this? You need to somehow earn the honor. You need to engage in a certain amount of killing blows, damage done, healing, some kind of metric like that. And then you unlock, as you do that, you unlock a percentage of the game ending honor. So instead of the way the match currently works, where you earn bonus honor and it instantly vests. So like all the Alliance players that have been in since the start, they've gotten 1,000 bonus honor. What if instead of that, based on the duration of the match, there are statistics you need to accomplish in the game and you can buy into that? What would be interesting features about this? Presumably, if you were entirely AFK, you would not be able to get a good amount of honor. That's one. What's other cool features? Have you ever joined into a game that's partway through and you think it's a waste of your fucking time because there's no bonus honor to be gotten? Yeah, probably. Well, if there was a buy-in, and if the bonus honor did not instantly vest and you didn't get it the second the objective happened, what would this mean? It'd mean leaving the match before completion deprives you of all bonus honor. It would also mean that potentially you could create a system where, let's say I just joined this AV 1 minute ago, and then I'm a really serious PvPer, and I go engage in a bunch of PvP, perhaps near objectives, and now I am able to actually vest all of the honor that people had earned, and I get it. So, like, let's say this guy on my right here, he's been in since the very start. He has 1,000 bonus honor that he's contributed towards everybody earning. You know, like everybody else who's been in since the start, they've done that. I join late. I'm playing a lot more actively. I get to partake in that bonus honor. I'm incentivized to stay to the end. He is as well. I would not feel punished for being put into a game that is partway through. Perhaps you could even make it so that way people are happy when they're put into a match that's partially completed. That would be awesome. It wouldn't require you changing anything about how the player characters interact with each other, but I think it's just inarguably would make the game more fun. Think about it in a vacuum instead of with all the messiness of my actual suggestion. Would it be nice if joining into a battleground late was seen as an opportunity instead of as a punishment? Right? That would just be a good thing. And you can do that by simply changing the way honor gets allocated. Now, with all these like little ideas I've said, they're mostly nested in how player behavior works, other than that last little bit of people coming into the match late and then not being able to receive bonus honor. I don't want anyone to take this stuff the wrong way and think that I'm trying to judge the way people play their characters. That's not productive for actually accomplishing an objective. Now, I will totally judge people about the way they want to engage in PvE in groups with people that are presumably their friends. Like if you tried to join my guild and then you didn't ever hang out with people after presumably telling me that you would, and you did really bad in raid and you had a shitty attitude, I would savor getting to kick you out of the guild and perhaps admonish you in front of 40 people. I would truly enjoy that. Hasn't happened yet this anniversary, but I'd have a lot of fun. I've judged the fuck out of you in that moment. But when it comes to us all acting as individuals doing these things like battlegrounds with a bunch of strangers, you should be free to play your character however you want without fear of getting banned. You just shouldn't be free to maybe say whatever you want to people. And that should be about the ends of it. Maybe, just maybe, we could fix every problem in the way people engage in PvP by making it so that way people earn more honor by doing things that are closer to the actions we did for the fuck of it as kids playing. People do have fond memories of summoning the stupid fucking elites in AV. As a kid, I played a hunter, and it was really fun to go up on top of these dumb fucking hills and shoot people, and that's really not all that productive to accomplishing the battlegrounds. But what if they made it so it was? What if they made it so that way the honor you earned in the battleground was, and this isn't I'm saying a good idea, but this is just an idea, was mostly proportional to you not being AFK and just simply being in the BG for a certain amount of time. If they made it so that way you couldn't earn that much honor based on what you do or don't do in the battleground, so long as you're literally playing in some regards. And then, you know, maybe the things that you need to do, it could be, instead of, for example, me getting honor, this is a really good example of a shitty system. I get honor when I am near these people when they get killed. I'm a melee. I go in, look, I'm dead now. When any of these guys die, I don't get honor. All right, so what's the incentive structure for me as a melee? Oh, to AFK near the front line and do nothing. Fucking wonderful, Blizzard. Actual genius game design. Like, whoever came up with this shit where you don't get honor in a BG when you're dead, you are a stupid motherfucker. I'm granted, whoever did that, they're probably like 53 fucking years old and designed this game like 20 years ago. But, oh my god. Insane. You should get honor if you were in a fight and you die in that fight, right? Now, this could also be implemented by, of course, just making it so that way everybody in the battleground splits real PvP type honor. Maybe that's not the best way to do it. But there's a lot of ways you could do that. Make it so that way as a melee, you're incentivized to go in. Hell, it could even be taking a certain amount of damage could be a way that you could earn your honor in the match. Or, for example, in maybe something like Warsong Gulch, you have to be within a certain distance of the flag for a certain percentage of the match length. And then that would make people actually play the objectives. And you could just keep on thinking about what kind of stuff would, if you had an ant playing a person's character and it was completely dispassionate and it just only did stuff for some numbers-based objective, how would you get that ant to do that? And you can then control the player behavior over time, and you could predict what kind of shit people like. But you could even unwind it pretty easily. Would it be so bad if in a Classic Plus in the future, Blizzard says we are going to be changing the incentive structure in Battlegrounds on a bi-weekly or a monthly basis for like a year, and sometimes you guys are gonna probably not like it, but almost for sure over time we're gonna be able to make people like it. And they have big amounts of data where they could really do this. They could see how much average APM each of us has based on the changes they put in. And perhaps they believe that APM somehow correlates with players having fun. Or time in game, time in Battleground. The amount of people who are doing BGs when they have no mathematical reason to do it. So, they could think they could make something like Ranker internally to determine, oh, this player is currently PvPing and has no chance to get a reward. Generally, that's not going to be people fucking the math up with their honor calculations. It's going to be that they actually just are playing for fun. There's so many ways that they could actually modify incentive structure, use big data, and just push the game into a place where people have more fun playing it. Now, with stuff like PvE, that's really complicated. How do you make PvE more fun? Make the fucking raids better? How do you do that? That's really difficult. With this PvP shit, it's really easy. We play player characters, and we like hitting our buttons, and it causes things to occur in the world, and then you get some dopamine. It's like, oh, cool, I'm a warrior. Like, no, you're some fucking dumb office worker sitting in a chair too much. But it feels good, and they can really control the way we play by giving us different sticks and carrots. That'd be absolutely fantastic. I hope that more people start talking about shit like this for how they could make a Classic Plus that's really fun, instead of, for example, the way SOD went. I think the direction SOD took, not to say it's bad, because a lot of people really like SOD a lot. I don't, but a lot of people really do, and obviously that means there's this big audience for it, and it creates value in their lives, and so it's an awesome thing, even though I don't want to partake in it. But the types of solutions SOD has used to make the game different and better are very expensive. They're very expensive, they're very hard to do, and I think that you could risk a lot less and spend a lot less money if you were a decision maker at Blizzard, and increase whatever statistics you think are good for, the business model of Blizzard without doing crazy things that really modify the game. If, for example, you could have, and this would be impossible, but let's say 100 years from now, people are still playing Classic Plus. Maybe we're all dead or they cure aging. Who knows? And all the game balance is the same, but there's just one different feature. People treat each other a lot better. The game would feel very much plussed. It would feel a lot better if everybody just behaved differently in a way that was better. And that's the kind of shit that you can cause by changing incentive structures. You can do it, whether you're some game designer picking how you're going to control people wanting to go AFK and fucking AV, or rather you're a GM or a raid leader in a guild, you want to get people to play the game better or to treat each other better, whatever. Using incentive structures is an awesome way to make a real difference in things. That is something Blizzard should put some focus on. I really think it would make a big difference. Thanks for listening to me ramble. If you're looking for a guild on Nightslayer and a PvP alliance, I think I said that all right, DM me in Discord. I'm looking for priests and warriors, but if you play something else, hit me up.